Hello again, interweb. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This time I'm going to be talking about a 2005 Ford Mustang cluster gauge. Just so you know, I do own a 2005 Ford Mustang. It's a convertible and all that good stuff, V6, so it's a good car. When I first got the car off of the dealership on my way home, I found that when I was going down the highway about 60 miles an hour, I came to a stop, and then all of a sudden my speedometer still said I was going 60. So I was, kind of wondering what's going on. So after a while, I actually called up Ford, the dealership and everything, and asked them, what's going on and how much it's going to cost to fix it. And of course, their situation is that they're like, oh, it's a common mistake of 2005 Ford Mustangs, but that particular model, that the cluster gauges will sometimes stick and all this other stuff. So I was like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost to fix it? And well, we got to do all kind of diagnostics and make sure it's a problem and all that stuff. And I just told them flat out, give me an estimate. And they said about $600 to $700 just to do everything, as in replacing the cluster, get a brand new cluster that's retail, and also to put this, the mileage on there, so it's, paperwork's all there and legit, so it's all legal. So I was like, yeah, no, I don't have $500 to $600 just to spend on my, cluster. So what I did a lot of research online and found that the motors, you can actually buy the motors online, and I did a little video of how to replace the motor. In the past, I already placed the speedometer, and it's working fine. So I found that my RPM gauge was also freaking out. So I was like, okay, well, this time I'm going to make a video about it. So here's the old motor. You can't really read the model number on there, but I'll read it to you. It is XC5589. And you can't really buy these anymore. They're like discontinued. So what you can is buy, it looks exactly the same thing, right? They look pretty close to the same. Now, basically this one right here is a newer model. They still make the motor, just, they fix whatever problems they had. And it's X25589. So, like I said, it's just a newer model, exact same motor, does the exact same thing. So, and they're pretty simple. When you open these things up, it's just two little gears and just a couple other like little things in here. I don't know what they are, but it's pretty cool. Really simple. There are little jumper like little pins here, and this is what kind of gets soldered onto the board. But anyways, I can explain more as I go along. I already made a video using this webcam, and also I took some pictures of where my speedometer was and all that other stuff. But yeah, I'll go and continue on to make the video for you, and hopefully you enjoy it. Okay, first off, just wanted to show what type of tools I was using. I got a metric 7mm ratchet there, and also I got the screwdriver version of it. And then on top there, I have my Leatherman pliers that have like screwdrivers and knife and everything. This other picture just kind of shows where my speedometer is when the car is completely turned off. I haven't even touched the cluster gauge at all, and so yeah, as you can see, it's about 500 RPMs, and it's supposed to be set at 0. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to fix that. Okay, this picture here, I was just showing where to put the tool on the right side of the cluster gauge to start removing the panel. This is what it looks like when the panel's popped off. There's no screws involved in trying to remove the panel, so don't be afraid to put a little force behind it. Here's the left side of the panel. Just kind of do the same thing you did to the right side, and you should be good to go, and the whole thing should pop right out. Here's what the cluster looks like with the panel totally removed, and there are 4 screws we have to remove in order to be able to remove the whole cluster. Here's a screw on the top left, and there's another screw on the top right, bottom left, and also the bottom right. This is the tool that I use to remove the screws off of the cluster, just on the top to the top left and top right. Now for the bottom 2, I used the ratchet instead of the screwdriver. Now after you get all 4 screws out, you can be able to maneuver the cluster gauge out of its seating, just out behind the steering wheel. And once you do that, you expose the wiring there. As you can see, the little gray part there on the plug, there's a particular way you got to remove it. Mainly you just have to take like a screwdriver, press on the top there, like I'm demonstrating right there, and then the little gray part will pull forward, and you just continue to pull it all the way over, and it will just come right off real easily. Alright, here's the cluster sitting there on the table there. Just kind of showing there that there's like three little tabs. There's one right there, and then there's one in the middle, and there's also one on the side there. And all you got to do is just kind of, pull it right off with your hands. The whole thing snaps on and snaps off. There you go. And now on the other side, there are two more little tabs you got to snap off. Right there and there. And it just takes a little bit of force to get it off. And you got to be really careful about that little button that you use to reset the mileage. It just kind of sits there kind of loosely. I was just kind of showing that, there you go, you can remove it. And it's just has a little tension spring there. And just removing that. And I wound up dropping it, of course. And I'm just saying, just keep it together. And I set it off to the side. Okay, next here, just showing the back here. Some more areas you got to pop off. One in the middle there, one to the side and the left side, and also one on the right. And also, there's ones on the corners that are a little bit tough to get off, both on the left and right. Those right there are pretty easy to come off with your hands. Those I had a little bit of a hard time with, so I took a moment to grab a tool, flathead screwdriver, to just to be able to get that off. So yeah, excuse the pause in the video there. There, I got my trusty Leatherman tool. Just kind of pry it on a little bit on one side, and did the same on the other. Like I said, it was a little bit tough to get off. And like I said, don't be afraid to put some force into it. It's plastic, but don't put too much force where it breaks right off. And in the back, there's two more tabs. Just gotta, pull those off too. Alright, now you got the circuit board totally exposed. And then the only thing that's holding the circuit board to the front end there are mainly the gauges. And the gauges are pretty easy to take off. Just gotta be really careful with them. You just turn them until the tension's there. And then you continue to turn and you slightly pull out. And they pull right off. And you do the same thing with all three of them, or excuse me, all four. Can't count right now. Some of them were a little bit tough to get off. It's just kind of a snug fit. Especially that temperature gauge. It started to get kind of tough to get off there. Alright. Now you can be able to remove the whole cluster gauge itself. And there's the electronics. I set that off to the side. So there you go. Alright, right here I am pulling out the new motors that I got in the mail. I did buy them from eBay. Yeah, I got two new motors just in case one of the other motors decided to go ahead and quit. And right here I'm just kind of go ahead and show you what the motors look like. So there you go, that's the new motor. And again, the motor number is, it'd be X25589, just as a quick reminder of what that is. And just kind of showing there that there's 4 little pins, or little solder points that you need to get onto the board in order for the motor to work. So there's 1, 2 on one side, and then there's 2 more on the other. And you just have to get the old motor out, and I was just kind of showing that's the mileage gauge, and that's the RPM gauge that I'm going to be replacing. So I had to turn it around. And that's the old motor, and that's the new motor. And so my next tool would be, oh that's right, I was going to use my little pin there to kind of show you where the solder points are. just at the tip of the where the pin is where the solder point is. So that one right there. And then there's a second one just below that. It's a little hard to see in this video. And another one there and another one there. So those are the little solder points you have to try to remove the solder to get the old motor out. And there's a soldering iron. It's already been pre-plugged in, so it's pretty warm. Alright, here I got some cardboard to kind of give me of an angle working view here. And grabbing the soldering iron, and just as a reminder, it is really hot, so make sure you just don't touch where any of the metal points are. And the soldering iron, I'm putting the point right on the solder itself to kind of melt it down a little bit. Be mindful this does take a while, and this actually took me a good amount of time just to be able to get all this done. And I know you can't really see very well in this video, I do apologize, but yeah, it just trial and error, trying to make sure that you get it hot, just not too hot. Don't touch any extra electronics you don't have to touch, and just try to be really patient with it. And so yeah, I'll go ahead and skip forward to the next part here. Alright, after you get the solder points a little bit melted down here, I'm just kind of demonstrating that you can actually hang on to the motor itself. Just to kind of wiggle a little bit, just kind of showing there you can kind of try to maneuver the motor out of its seating by melting the solder little by little, pulling it out with your hand, and just like I said, just try to be very careful and try not to hit any points that you don't want to hit on the circuit board. Alright, after messing around a little bit with the motor, like the little method I kind of showed you earlier, I got a little fed up, so I'm going to be removing the little tabs there, so I can be able to expose the whole motor itself. And I don't recommend this for everybody. Like I said, I just kind of got a little impatient. It was a little difficult, so I decided to go ahead and, since I'm replacing the motor, I'm not going to hurt anything by just trying to tear this one off. So if you don't have very much experience dealing with electronics, I don't recommend this method, but since I have kind of played around with electronics in the past, I felt a little confident of, forcefully removing the old motor in order to put the new one on. And there's two little jumpers there, or jumper-like deals on there, and so I'm using my Leatherman, going to bring out its pliers and just kind of twist a little bit. Gonna try to break it off without damaging anything. Takes some finagling to get it off there, and should be popping off here in a second. Things were on there pretty good. There we go. There we go. Okay. There's the first little part of it, just kind of showing what it looked like. It's like some copper wiring on there. So kind of interesting how those little motors work. Two little gears and some copper wiring. And this one here, I just go ahead and do the same thing, a little more forceful. Here we go. Pop that right off. Okay, now all that's left is just the little pins and some plastic pieces I removed. And then the whole back side of the motor should pop right off. Take some force to get it off. And there we go. After you get the motor all soldered in, just go and pre-assemble the cluster gauge. Just make sure you can be able to get to where you can still touch the needles, so you can be able to recalibrate the needles as you turn on and off the car, just to see where the needle's set after you turn it off, so you can kind of recalibrate them. As you can see on the first picture here, I actually have it to where it's completely off. I turned it on. Here's the second picture, and it's it's pretty much working. And then I turned it back off and went back to zero. So there you go. There's my video. I haven't really seen too many videos on how to do this. This is why I kind of did it. I really hope it helps a lot of people that are having similar problems as I have, having the cluster gauges motors stick, and I really hope this saves you a lot of money. It costs $10 for the motors on eBay, for plus shipping and handling. So yeah, good luck to you all, and please leave comments below, and thank you for watching.